We're back. Sea Otter was a great start to the season and a successful start to the Lifetime Grand Prix, but it's left me on the back foot heading into the big show. Unbound Gravel, the hardest, longest race of the Lifetime Grand Prix season. 200 miles of rocks, mud, and wind in the Flint Hills of Kansas. I'm heading to Emporia with one outcome in mind. Back for round 2, Unbound. We are back in Emporia, Kansas, probably one of the most well-known middle of nowhere towns. Leaving Sea Otter, I was over the moon happy. Of course, I wanted a little bit more, I wanted to win, but that's really easy to say, and one guy does it every day. Finishing third felt like a success. I'd gone in with the top 5 goal, and that's kind of the goal throughout the Grand Prix is consistency. I want to get down to Big Sugar and not have a drop race, so I can kind of feel like I've raced every race really well, and that's very hard to do. Just with flatting and crashing and bad luck. I've been really focused and motivated on training, and feel like coming into Unbound the best I ever have. We just made it to Emporia, and damn is it good to be back. Just drove from Boulder, 8 hours. Kyle did most of the drive. Avery and I did work, and by work we mean planned questions for the interviews, and now we're unpacking and get out for a little course preview today. Unbound is a very unique race. It takes a lot out. Last year, knowing I was gonna miss it, I was pretty happy going into it. I was like, oof, a year away from the circus, but I really felt like I was missing something. I was watching the race from afar at my brother's wedding, kind of watching Unbound on my phone, which is horrible to say, but I was interested. And I think when I look at the Grand Prix, it's a big piece. I think Emporia is unique of a lot of the towns we go to because almost everybody is really excited and happy to have cyclists here. You kind of feel that buzz growing, whether it's at breakfast or at coffee, just walking around town as the race gets closer and closer. And then as the expo starts to happen, you just see people take over the town in a really unique and special way. First day pre-ride. Just changed probably the smallest tire you've seen all year. Thought process is test everything out. It's muddy right now. So in the chance that everything dries out for the next couple days, don't get a chance to test it again, and it rains on race day, I'll know how it handles. This is my mud setup. Pre-riding and being back out on course was incredible. It was awesome. I think Avery saw it on my face, but I was like a pig in shit. There was mud everywhere. I was having a blast. There's just some bike rides that feel better than others, and I think the last couple days of pre-riding have been great. Kansas is special in a weird way. It's oddly boring, but in a very therapeutic and amazing way. The roads, you can see for miles, and they're long and rolling. It's death by a thousand cuts, all the stuff you've heard, but it's fun to pre-ride. It's beautiful, it's green, and it kind of makes you focus the whole time because you'll be on a road that is super simple, dry, fast, rolling, and then all of a sudden you're on an MMR road and you're hanging on your handlebars for dear life. So I think what you get is a very unique course that woos you into this sense of confidence that you never have. Unbound long enough where I would argue the hardest part of the race is focusing. And so recon is about figuring out where you have to focus a little harder and where you can let off the brakes a little bit. Most of the catastrophic mechanicals and failures happen when you lose focus on some random descent where you ping 2 rocks in a row because you can't see anything. It's not impossible to win Unbound with flatting, but I would argue it's nearly impossible nowadays. I think it's gonna be a very fast Unbound. 202.6 miles is a long day. I do think we're on course to average faster than Lachlan did last year, which is crazy to say out loud. Now it's kind of just making final decisions and figuring out what fits best with the way I think I want to put my mark on the race. Finito. It's like good until... Willie! Come on, you're gonna get dropped. Yeah. There's very few times where I will compare road cycling and road racing to gravel, but I think comparing Unbound to the tour is pretty fair in terms of what people, what companies want to do and activate here. Unbound, I would say, is one of, if not the busiest races for an athlete. The expo is bonkers. Every company wants to launch their equipment here. There's always something that needs to be done: photo shooting, video shooting, meet and greets, social media, things beyond the race that can just zap energy. But it's also the biggest and most important race that you're able to interact with people who care about bikes. So it's, as much as all of that stuff feels like it's not important to winning the race, it's really important as an athlete, because all of a sudden I get to impact people I've talked to on Instagram for a year. I get to have a conversation with someone who bought a MOG last week. I'm gonna fill every bit of that day up that I possibly can, because it's the moment I get to interact with people that are so insanely excited about bike riding.
Yeah, I think for us pro athletes especially, like, to win Unbound is just like, kind of means everything. It's like one of the biggest races, and yeah, and I think until we kind of get on the podium, we're not satisfied, and we just seem to keep coming back to this brutal race.
I think Unbound has such a grip on people because there's so many aspects to it. It's not just the fittest person showing up necessarily wins. There's so many things out there: the terrain, the Flint Hills, the rocky, the sharp rocks, the mud. You never know if it's going to be a mud year. Coming from triathlon, it reminds me a lot of Kona, where you never know, it's going to be a super windy year. Like, the terrain, the conditions, everyone wants to have their day here and have a good day, and it's very hard to do that. So I think that keeps people coming back. Even if you have a solid day, you still think you could have a better day. So I just think, yeah, people come back year after year.
We've been here the past 5 years, 6 years. We've been here for a while. Winning it, it's sort of that cherry on top to sort of like ace that test of aid 1, aid 2, bike setup, tire, all of the stuff that goes into the race, and to win it, it's sort of not necessarily completes, Unbound for me, but these races obviously are getting more competitive. There is much, higher talent doing these races, and so if you're able to get one of these, anyone that races Unbound and wins an Unbound, I don't care who you are. Not that you could be like, yeah, that's the rest of my career, like, I'm done, I can retire, but it is such a huge race. I sort of, you almost relate it to like winning a monument, right? If you won Roubaix, let's say you're a Belgian rider or a Dutch rider or any rider, right? From any nation, you win Roubaix, you're a legend for forever. Like, you only got to win one of those monuments. And so I feel like Unbound sort of has that, where if you win Unbound, like, you don't need to come back.
Yeah, I think Unbound is in its heyday. It's the biggest, baddest gravel race in the world. There's just some energy in the air that this is the strongest start list we've ever seen. You have winners of Paris-Roubaix on the road. You have some of the best gravel racers in the world. And then you have a bunch of young kids no one knows about. And I think that after last year, we saw the fastest Unbound ever in 9 hours and 11 minutes. There's a chance we break 9 hours, which is crazy. I'm incredibly proud of what we're doing here. It takes insane amounts of time and effort to get something that in moments doesn't feel worth it. The content, to me, is what drives the excitement around this race. For us to film this, we pretty much need a driver. We need Avery to help shoot everything, and we need Bert to be on the background just shooting photos, so you have thumbnails, behind the scenes, anything else that matters. We have Avery setting these interviews up. I do 3 interviews throughout the week. We have what we're trying to capture, as well as deliverables and activations for partners, so it all adds up to quite a bit throughout the week. Beyond that, the team at the feed zones is really important. I brought Kyle Fowler from Boulder, who's a good friend I train with a lot, and who's the guy I trust to hold feed bags.
Can I get you a drink, sir?
Envy's brought an entire crew for me, which is awesome. So we have Derek Jensen, mechanic, he's looking after my bike. We got Matt Shriver, who recently came on from Trek. He's helping just kind of run ops and logistics. I'll be 5:15 I'll arrive, 5:25 I'll hope to be on the bike. Matt will be feeding me my packs. So it'll be Kyle first, I'll grab a bag, then Matt. After that is Chris, we'll have another bag with ice and water. So it's pretty crazy, and I think it's unique and possibly daunting to riders coming in. That's what it takes to win Unbound right now. when I go and start a race, you know, I'm expecting they're gonna give the same that I'm giving to the race, but the reality is that things might go wrong. There has to be contingencies and you have to figure out how to work through things. But at the end of the day, to win Unbound, you need a flawless race. And that means flawless from my race to mechanicals to feeds. If I miss a feed, I gotta go back. There's no choice, no option. It's not like I'm gonna go to the next feed zone. That's the race. And so as much as it's a bike race, it's also an eating race. So it's very interesting in how much you have to trust the people around you to get that done. There's two ways I look at this. I'm gonna race to win Unbound. Winning Unbound sets me up in a great place, puts me into, takes me on the summer break winning the Grand Prix. Kind of unimaginable right now. At a minimum, I see myself having to beat Keegan tomorrow. I need to beat Keegan, I need to beat Matt Butt'r. That's the way to stay in the fight for the Grand Prix, to not give them an edge. There's still a chance to win from there, but when we started this, I had one goal, which is come out of the first two races, beating Keegan once, having that playing field be equal. So I'm going to Unbound, fighting for the win, and knowing that there's a lot to fight for because the 6-race series is just getting started. Beyond that, I just want to race for everyone here helping, right? It's really cool to have an 8-person team, but when it doesn't go right, it sucks. And so I think I just want to get out there and have a clean, hard race. So that's kind of what I'm hoping for here, is to have my day at Unbound.
So Heather's still leading. 228 miles in.
Unbound is a very early morning. One of the roughest wake-ups all year. It's kind of feels silly when you get up, like you haven't slept at all, and it's the longest race of the year. This morning I just honestly felt kind of settled. Like I'd done everything I could do. One of the hardest parts of Unbound sometimes is getting to bed at a decent time. And it felt like I got to bed at like 9 p.m. But yeah, it didn't change how quickly the alarm came.
Who's here? Who have you talked to? Who's hiding?
I think Keegan's always hot on anyone's heels. I think a win at Unbound would make him a very happy man going into a summer break. Matt Butt'r, probably highest on the list for everybody. He's been training a lot. He's been doing heat adapting. He's been in South Africa. He's a big diesel. If he doesn't flat or have a bad mechanical, he'll be in the top 5. I think Russell's on a comeback tour. Russell got sick. He had a bad race at Sea Otter. If he wants any chance of factoring into the Grand Prix, it starts here at Unbound. He can't have another race like Sea Otter. Outside of the Grand Prix, there's 3 or 4 guys I think you got to really pay attention to. Madward Schmidt, multi-time world champion time trialist, came from the road. Grew up racing with him. He's just super strong. I think all the Europeans have a weakness when it comes to flatting and patching flats, so if something happens, they're out of the race. Unbound, I could look at the list and I could keep seeing names and doing research on Google and finding some guy I'd never heard of. Once we headed over to the race start, it was kind of just down to business. Met up with the MB team, made sure bike was running well, and then after a quick warm-up, seemed like I was at the start already and we just sing the national anthem.
We are officially ready to get our professional men's and call-ups. Welcome Alex Wild, Alexey Varmulin.
One of the big focuses in the Grand Prix, especially Unbound, has to be come in really mentally fresh. I think the most important part to winning Unbound is to be fully ready to suffer. No questions asked, hands down. And that might be easy to say, but if you have a lot on your plate for the 4 weeks leading up to the race, it's really difficult. Training is one thing. Everyone out here is training hard. Everyone's fit. Equipment's the next thing, right? Having some luck is important. But I think at the end of the day, it's the guy who can suffer the most who's going to win this race. And I think that's where I'm at right now, is feeling like I'm really ready and fresh mentally to see what I can do.
3, 2, 1.
Unbound started faster than ever. I mean, I think we've said that every year now. The fastest expected time based on last year's winning time was that we would get to the first feed zone at a 22 mile an hour average. We got there just a hair under 26 mile an hour average. We were there almost 40 minutes early. Very quickly, a group of 20 or so riders got off the front. That first 50 miles for me was all about staying conservative and not overriding. We finally brought them back probably around mile 40 or so. But the problem was 3 riders already attacked. What we expected to be kind of a restart of the race was actually just slowing. We had Cam and Simon up the road already, 2 really strong riders. There wasn't much to do other than kind of watch and play the games. From there, it kind of became a little tactical for a minute, heading into feed 1. Feed 1 was pretty simple. Kind of went off without a hitch, which was great. Threw my pack, grabbed my other pack from Matt, was able to get that on before I had to grab a bag from Kyle, and threw that over my shoulder, put 2 bottles in and called it good. And then it's just kind of a mental restart on eating and drinking everything, which is always hard sometimes. It's kind of interesting of like the first couple sips of the reservoir always get you. You're like, okay, I got another 200 grams of carbs to drink, here we go. Once we got through there, kind of realized how the race was shaking out and that that breakaway was not going to come back very easily. Things started to get aggressive quickly. I felt great to mile 70. I kind of said that jokingly as it like the race hasn't even started at mile 70. Hopefully your legs feel good at mile 70, otherwise you're doing something wrong. Yeah, so Little Egypt is a pretty famous part of the course. It's just really well known for the North Course. Everyone was kind of apprehensively waiting for it. That is the first time our group really shattered. We went from probably about 60 guys down to maybe 20, maybe 25. And then from there it was kind of just moving toward the finish, slowly losing guys out of just attrition. I was very stressed. I mean, the Cam and Simon Payode being gone was already something of note. Having the next group get away with Trekkie and Toby and Boswell was not great. I think Lesby was up there too. It just became a no-shit situation. I did kind of have an expectation that Ponder Mall would do a little more work, given that they had Mads and they had missed the moves. They ended up just kind of blowing the race to shreds, and that was it. They made one big move in a crosswind section, about 130 miles in. It just came one of the uphills. I just didn't have the legs to go. Didn't have the legs to stay with the guys, and then you come off the wheel and you're in the wind by yourself. It just is what it is. I came off the 3rd group on the road, which ended up fighting for, I think, 6th or 7th. Once I got dropped from that 3rd group, I was coming into feed 2, and I was trying to we had a plan to obviously just ride straight to the feed zone again. I kind of realized that wasn't the right choice. Kind of stopped and made the audible call, like, hey, we gotta, let's do everything here, stop quickly, put ice in as much as we can, cool down. You have to prepare for when things don't go right as well as when things do go right. There was a plan in the case that I was in the front group winning, that we were gonna power wash the drivetrain and be ready to sprint. And then you have the other case scenario where it's, I'm dropped off the back and fighting for 15th or 16th, and you just need ice cubes. Today was just weird. It was one of those days that honestly, it was the clean day I had always hoped for. No flats, no mechanicals, nutrition was pretty good. But just kind of felt like I was just stuck in the middle of the road all day. Wasn't really able to suffer very much, and it's kind of just one of that feeling of like very happy and exhausted and tired and wanting to be done, but wasn't as cracked as I'd been at past Unbounds. Just wasn't able to go to that last gear or that dark place that you need to go to be at the front of these races.
Champion in your elite men, a wild card in this Lifetime Grand Prix takes home the W.
Cam Jones won, which is awesome, New Zealander. And he was fighting for a wild card in the Grand Prix, so he now owns it. We'll probably move him up pretty high after I think he finished 11th at Sea Otter, so it's awesome. Just in general, any rider being out that long is one thing. Doing it at Unbound with a stacked field like this is second to none. It'll make his career. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mean, our first time here, I never would have imagined it was possible to go 8 hours and 40 minutes, and yeah, here we are. Yeah, I kind of sat down, finished the race, and I think I just kind of felt numb. Like I told Avery, I don't have much to say. Just a lot goes through your head, you know? You wonder why you have a day like that. You wonder, you question everything as an athlete all the time. And it's so easy to make it more than it is. But I think it was a reflection moment for a minute, and then kind of just reset and get back to business. Grand Prix is not one race. It's probably the hardest part of not having a stellar day is all these people out there working hard. Unbound takes so many people. Of course, they all understanding, but as an athlete, it's really difficult to kind of swallow that and realize that they just spent 9 hours of their day, if not more, helping you get 24th in a bike race. I finished 8th in the Grand Prix. Definitely isn't great, but Grand Prix is full of surprises. So any of these races can be a tough pill to swallow. I think the hardest part of the Grand Prix is that it is so long. You can have a great race like Sea Otter, and you can have a less great race, and it's easy to judge yourself based on one performance. You gotta take all 6 into account at the end of the year. Quick shout out to Run-ID and Chamois Butt'r. This hustle we've been on to try to get out videos is really difficult, and it takes a team, takes a lot of people, takes a lot of lack of sleep. And so just want to give a thank you and to both Run-ID and Chamois Butt'r for supporting. First Unbound not chafing, and if I needed to call Avery, it was right here. It's a little demoralizing, I'm not gonna lie, but it's also something that I'm just excited for. I've been excited for take a run at the Grand Prix no matter what. So here's to that.